Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. One trial has been played, another one is just a couple of days away, the second trial versus the Sharks. So we'll talk about the first trial and the one that's coming up, what I expect to see happen, things to look out for, and all the like, and how I'm seeing the round one team. We'll see if any of you guys are coming up with the same sort of ideas, or if you see anything else that I don't cover here, feel free to throw it in the comments. Always happy to learn or to look out for things that I may have missed. Watched the game a few times, but obviously we're on cloud nine after that demolition of the Raiders. The scoreline flattered that side, and to be honest, it's not really about the scoreline. It is the preseason challenge though, 100 grand up for grabs, but the teams are out there having fun, and the Dogs had a lot more experience and a lot more depth, and considering our New South Wales Cup team is one of the best sides out there, and I'd say it'll remain that way for 2023. Canberra had a big task, considering how much they only had, I think, eight players with first grade experience, and we had about 18. So that shows you the difference in depth. Still, we had a lot of talent out of that game as well that'll be very important for us, as did the Raiders. They had most of their side out. Anyway, the things that were fantastic that I really, really appreciated seeing from the Dogs, there was the variation in attack had changed. Kyle Flanagan playing on the left as well as the right, so switching sides. Me and a couple of mates have been talking about how that was a much improved thing. Obviously, the big star was Reid Marnie. I felt his passing was fantastic. Talking about him coming to the club in an episode I did a few months ago, he demonstrated all that stuff straight up, like those long cutout passes which sort of negate the need to have 2 or 3 ball players engage out the back. When you can have people running onto the ball, it just gives you much more variation. And his beautiful pass out to Ockenball, which he then tapped back inside to Alamotti, was a really, really great vision and a really good try. Probably a bit of poor defence as well, but at the same time, Marnie just took full advantage of it. Flanagan running down the short side after getting an inside ball from Reynolds crabbing back. He then, a beautiful ball to Ockenball to score in the corner. That was our first try. That all started with a good break from Jake Averillo, from a beautiful pass from Braden Burns playing at fullback, pushing through the centre, and that was all started from a Jacob Carraz offload. He got a few of those off early, really determined play. He had a couple of errors actually too, which I think he was angry at himself about, but overall every player on that team was fantastic, from the young guys and the reserve graders to all the NRL stars. They all put their names in headlights as far as I'm concerned. Alamotti was good, and that's the thing, we were playing off the front foot pretty much from the second or third set of the game. There was only a stalemate for about 1 or 2 sets, and after that we were really making ground easily and defending them quite easily as well. Jacob Preston obviously impressed a lot of people with the way he played, and he's showing that he is going to fill the shoes well whenever the likes of Kikau or Raymond Fatala-Mariner aren't in the side. And what I was most impressed with him, and he did some really great things, scored a good try, but what I was most impressed with was that one-on-one tackle which he made, which was under fatigue, and it was a definite try saver, and I was really impressed by that. That's the type of tackle that we're used to seeing Josh Jackson perform, so we need a player who's going to take over that mantle. Maybe he is that type of player, considering he's also quite tall. He's all arms and legs, but quite physical now. He's grown into his body. He's got to play against all the men. We'll see how he goes when he's like at round 25 and he's had the likes of James Fisher-Harris and some of the big boppers running at him, Royce Hunt and the like. We'll see how he goes then. But he looks like he's up to it and can handle it. Franklin Pele, obviously big raps about him. Not just a battering ram. He showed he's got footwork and he can change the ball before the line, swap hands with the ball and then offload. That was fantastic. Good coaching to give him the confidence to do something like that. And hopefully we see that in the NRL as well, not just in a trial. Expect him to get some time in this game coming against the Sharks. And, very, very impressive. He was a cult figure as soon as he played against us last year. Then when he was signed, much interest in his signing. And I think Dogs fans love that type of player in their team. I know I do. And it's looking very, very good for the future with Franklin Pele. Josh Reynolds didn't overplay his hand, was fantastic. His kicking was really on point. His passing was good. Did this normal stuff he likes to do, get out of dummy half or get the first pass off the ruck and crab across the ground. That led to the first try. He got smashed in one play doing that and nearly scored a try himself. And I think everyone knew he was going to do that play when it happened, but that's typical Josh Reynolds, and that's what we love about him. He's all effort. And played well, and he's put himself in contention to play round 1 now. New Brown's had a little niggle, so he won't be ready until round 1. So Josh will get to trial again with the top 17, and he'll start on the bench probably and be the first rotation. I'm expecting him to play some half in the second half with Matt Burton to leave the field after about 40 minutes is what I think will happen. But yes, very, very good. All the young players from Ockenbaugh to Alamotti, the young halves, Haywood and Rajeb. Eli Clark was good. He didn't get, I don't think he got the ball, but he did some really big hits. Were fantastic to see, lots of energy. Brandon Clark, a good try after a Franklin Pele run and quick play the ball, and he's just an opportunist. He's snuffed out a try. Ryan Gray was strong. He's a real battler, and he's been in that system since, he was in that 2018 SG ball side with Avarillo and Tapine and all that, and Patolo. So he's been around, and he keeps putting his hand up to be a Bulldog and to take his career to the maximum point he can take it. And I really like that about him. Good clubman by the look of it. Jaden Tanner played well. Curtis Moran was good. Harrison Edwards was strong. There was a lot of good play by the Dogs, and I hope I've named everyone. Oh, Joash Papali'i, I think he struggled to get in the game a little bit, but like he was trying. You could see he was there around the ball. He was backing up, doing the fullback stuff in that second half, and he had a couple of good runs as well. And he's going to be a really good talent for the Bulldogs, I think, as well. Braden Burns, got to speak about his performance at fullback. I touched on this in the recent player profile, which was done after that trial. Braden, to me, shows that he can play the fullback role with what he demonstrated. I guess under fatigue and playing 80 minutes is a different sort of kettle of fish, and that's where we'll see if he's made for that role or not. He's been in the opposed sessions all season against Hayes Perham and Jakey Avarillo. Well, he had a good game. They sort of kept him out of the hard stuff, out of the hard yakka. They had Carraz, Alamotti and Ockenbaugh with Burns doing most of that yardage stuff, and Jake was had lots of energy in defence, great communication, very clear and direct, you could see it. A real steal about his defence on that edge, made a good one-on-one tackle, and he also had a good break, and he set up that try for Jacob Preston with his good run from across the field from the right to the left from dummy. Good pass to Waddell onto Franklin, who did the great work with a great step at the line and switching hands before giving it to Jacob Preston to score, and he had a bit of work to do as well. But he's got those big long arms and they reach out, and he's a true footballer by the look of it. So that's pretty much the wrap up. I think the variation was good. I just have to also mention Waddell and Davey were also very, very strong, as was everyone. Luke Thompson, Max King, they all played their part, and Ryan Sutton scored a try on debut, and he was also quite strong and looked very, very fit. So there you go, guys. That was the wrap-up of the first trial. Now, what are we going to get into the second trial? Well, they've named the best 17. I think it looks pretty well, much how it will look come round one. I think the only changes that would be made, potentially a new Brown coming into the utility, and a couple of spots on the bench will change. I don't think they'll carry Waddell and Davey on the bench for round one. I think it'll be either or if those two make it. I think it'll be smart to have one of those guys in the 17 for round one, but we will see. I think the reason they're both on the bench to start for the first half, I think Kikau and Tavita, who have been named in the starting lineup, I reckon they might only play about 20 to 25 minutes before they're replaced. I think they might rotate Franklin, Pele with Tavita, or Sutton straight up with Tavita, and then and with Kikau, I think you'll see Waddell come in on the left there, and then Davey will probably replace Raymond on the right. And in the second half, I think you'll see young Preston come on pretty early and play most of the 40 minutes, and Pele will probably have a couple of stints during the game. Chris Bartolo's out with a niggle as well as New Brown. So those two had been training really well prior to this. So I was hearing good things about Bartolo and that he was likely to be right in the mix for starting round one, but this setback probably hasn't helped with that. But we will definitely see. He's a player with a lot of potential, and you know, and not one that we're still waiting for that beast to awaken, if that makes sense. He was starting to come good though, with a few games back to back, and that's what we're going to need for him, to really put those games back to back. So from the trial, what I'm expecting is some of the stuff I've already said, but as far as the result goes, I think the Dogs will get there. I think they'll win. I think they're at a similar level. There's similarities between them and what the Sharks were last year. Brand new coach with high expectations, new spine players, some toughness on the edges, you know, and some really good acquisitions after a bit of confidence was built from the year before, after some really poor seasons. And I think that the Bulldogs will be able to demonstrate that they've got that extra energy over 80 minutes. And that's the reason I think they'll win. I think it'll be close. I think both teams will score 4 or 5 tries. You know, it's hard to predict anything in the NRL this year, simply due to the closeness of the top 17s on paper. But, you know, in this trial, I just think we're going to see a similar performance from the Bulldogs as what we saw from the Sharks against the Bulldogs 12 months earlier. And we've got Frank Pele this time, so maybe that might be the difference, who knows. But obviously the Sharks are a very good outfit, and they're going to be seasoned after that, and they won't be easy beats. I don't think we'll be beating them 34-4 or anything like that. I think it'll be a close game, but maybe with a few both teams enjoying a few tries each and playing some enterprising footy to try and win that 100 grand. So that's what I expect to see. More of Flanagan running on the left and the right to continue that variation. Matt Burton to dominate with his kicking game. I'm expecting to see that. Expecting to see the Fox. I don't know if we'll see the Fox doing too much of the yardage stuff. I think Carraz and Alamotti would definitely be helping in that. Hayes Perham will need to get in there and do the work. He's one guy I'm really looking forward to seeing how he goes with the cohesion of his own team, rather than like in the All-Stars game. I thought he was good. It was laid a really good platform by his forwards, and he chased his heart out. He had a lot of nervous energy, Hayes, in that game, and that's why he sort of had a bit of fatigue at the end. But his legs would have been much better for the run, and I think he will play well in his first game for the Bulldogs. I'm a big fan of Jakey Avarillo and wanted him to play fullback, but the coach knows what Hayes Perham is capable of, and we might see a star unearthed in the Bulldogs. No pressure though, like obviously he's got to develop, and we'll see how he goes. But anyway, guys, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how we're going to travel. This will be released in time for the game, and thanks for listening. And yeah, nearly at 450 subscribers. It keeps increasing, and we'll do a wrap up afterwards, after the game, and that's it. Go the Doggies.